Hello and welcome to the video for Wednesday on week 15 for web design. So on Monday, I posted that I have graded your first websites and your CSS tests, and the grade for your websites is called second quarter grade in D2L, and for the test is third quarter grade. And of course, your final websites that you're making now in the new SiteGround accounts will be the fourth quarter grade. And as far as the timing on when those websites are due, um, we only have a few weeks left in the semester, so really you just need to get them in before the end of the semester. So you've got a couple weeks that you can work on those. A student asked me if I could write down some of the requirements for the final website project. So here they are. I want you to create a new website on the new SiteGround accounts. Use WordPress. And I'd like to encourage you to use one of the templates, one of the themes that has multiple templates like Ocean WP or Astra, or you can search around and find another one if you like. Astra is obviously the one that I'm using in all the demos that I'm doing. Make your website have at least 5 sections, which you can translate to mean pages. Typically, these are things like the home page, the about page, contact, and then depending on what kind of website you have, either a services or a products page or a gallery or portfolio page. And of course, you can use WooCommerce if you like. In the last video, the one that's posted right above here, I go over how to install WooCommerce on your system, which is a very popular e-commerce system. And it's a plugin that's owned by WordPress, and so it works really well with WordPress. You don't have to use WooCommerce if you don't want to. It's just an option for you. You can the videos that I'm working on, I'm go ahead and constructing a whole website using the Astra theme in WordPress and using WooCommerce, so you can watch those videos and see some of the things that I'm dealing with and some of the solutions for them, and hopefully that'll be helpful to you when setting up your own website. You can make any kind of website you want. It can be a personal site, it can be a business site for somebody else, it can be for an imaginary product or band, whatever you want. Just keep in mind that you do have the option to keep this site after you make it. SiteGround is giving you 3 months free as a student special, and then after that you can sign up to keep the site for $3.99 a month for a year, but then it goes up to like $11.99 a month, so keep that in mind. I do have an article here that I think would be a good one to check out. It's by Smashing Magazine, and they do a really good job with their articles. It's called How to Create a Compelling Landing Page, and of course the landing page is where people first land when they come to your website, very often the home page. And then here they go through all of the different techniques that you can use to make your landing page more successful. Some of the things you have to think about and design for when you want to increase your sales of your products or services. Okay, so the video that I'm doing today, as I said, I'm going to continue to work on the website that I've been creating, this wild chord site, and show you some different techniques that you can use on your websites. Okay, so if we jump over here to the wild chord site, I don't know if you recall from the last video, but I mistakenly said that I would be okay with a big banner going across the top here when you first come to the site that says that there's an e-store here. And it makes this really annoying pink banner. So first thing I got to do is get rid of that. So I've got the front end of the website here, and another tab, the back end of the website. And what I found out from doing a little research is that you can get rid of that banner by just going to a specific area of WordPress. So if you go into under Appearance and Customize, and then you go, and there it is. There's the deliciously horrible purpley magenta banner, right? Now there's 2 ways you can access this. This little icon, the little pencil icon, always means you can click on that and edit it. But also down here under WooCommerce and then Store Notice, you have information here, right? So like I said, I could click here, but that would take me right to the same place. So here I'm just going to remove the text, and I'm also going to disable the store notice, and then make sure you hit publish, after you've made a change, so that becomes, uh, the new normals, as it were, or the finished website. It's going to take the changes that you made and write them to the database, so that's what people will see. Okay, so we've done that. Another thing, and of course, right now we're just editing through the customizer, right? But the next thing I want to do is be able to edit through Elementor, some aspects of the site. So I can close this by clicking on the little X here, and go back to the home page, and then click to edit it with Elementor, which will take me into a slightly different interface than the customizer. The customizer exists for all websites, so it's going to have all these different areas common to all websites that you can edit. But Elementor is going to allow me to edit specific page areas that were created with Elementor. Now, one of the things that I noticed after the changes I made last class was, I paid careful attention in these first two sections to make sure this divider line and this button were the same color, both there and here and there. But then I just completely forgot about it when I made this. And you can see that this red color is completely different from those. So what that means is that I have to go in and figure out, once again, find this color. And so I can, basically I just clicked on this and drilled down to the style section until I found the background color for that button. I can copy it. And then I can go down to this section, click on this bad boy, click on the style, and then for the background color, paste in this same style, and it looks like it changed, right? So that's good. And then I got to do the same thing with this bad boy, this little guy here, style. There's the red color. Let's paste in the orange color. And then that's going to be kind of hard to see, I think. Let's see. It's kind of hard to see right now, just because it's an orange background. But it's not really that key of a part of the design. But let's see what it looks like anyway. I can hit update on this, and then it's easier to see. This is the reason why we have the front end in a different tab, because it's easier to see without all those construction lines what things look like. So if we go down here, yeah, you can still see it. I mean, it's pretty subtle, but it doesn't need to be, it's a little more visible down here, but it doesn't need to be screaming at you. So I think that is, that's good. Okay, now I do want to make some changes to the website based on the fact that my sort of mission for this website has changed slightly. And this is very realistic in the real world. You could be making a website for a client. Let's say you're making a website for a company that sells widgets, and their plan is you're going to have the website done by the end of summer, and they're going to introduce a new widget then, and that's the whole plan for the website. But plans change all the time with businesses. So all of a sudden the market situation changes, and they've got a new product that they want to release in a month, or maybe they want to post, and they're going to release the new product in a month, but they want to start posting announcements on the website now. So you have to, get the website up and running now, and change all your plans, put some things on hold, and start putting new information up right away. So actually, something like that is, kind of a real world thing has happened for me with this website, which is, I had planned to develop this over time without anybody really knowing about it except you guys, and then put some information about these games up, and this comic, and then release it to the world when I was ready to introduce these games and everything. But one of the things that's happened is that there is an event that's coming up next month. It's called the Con of Champions. And what it is a virtual gaming convention. So in other words, if you have a board game and you're able to put it into software which will allow people to play the board game virtually online, you can join this convention and people from all over the world can play your game. So I decided that I wanted to participate in this, and this, as I said, it takes place in a month. And there's a specific game that I want to go ahead and promote, which is called Skyro's Castle. Which is a different game than the one that I have been working on here on the website. So now the other thing is when I just today made this event, and I can click edit here to show the event that I submitted, and you can see that the URL I put was wildcore.com, which of course is this website, which is currently under construction. So somebody from this conference is going to have to go to this website. In fact, when I go to done, you'll see that it says pending review, right? We can click this I here. So pending review, right? So what that means is somebody from this conference is actually going to go to this website and look for information about this game to see if it's a legitimate game that they want to have participate in their convention, be part of their convention. So that means I got to move very quickly to make changes to this site and get it ready for that purpose. And then, some of the long-term plans, like having a WooCommerce shop, I can still work on those in the background, but that shop can be in what we would call a draft mode until it's ready to go. So the first thing I might do, and I will do more things with the shop in the future, but for right now, the first thing I'll probably do is take that shop button off the menu so that the shop, in essence, doesn't exist. I mean, it's actually still there, and you could probably do a search if you knew the right pages and find it, but nobody's going to really stumble on it, more than likely. So all we would have to do is go over here under Appearance and Menus, and then scroll down, and we see the shop menu item. We can open that menu item up and hit remove. Now, it still exists over here in the bank of menu items that we can drag over, but for right now, if we hit save menu, that's going to disappear from the main menu up here at the top. So that gets rid of a whole section that's not ready to go, so that helps us out. Now, but basically everything else on the site is not ready to go. I mean, any of these buttons, these don't have links, these don't go anywhere. It's really just the front page, and there's a contact page here which actually has the correct information, but this is a placeholder image. You can see that's a different color button, and I can fix that right now, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because I still have that button color in my paste buffer. So now would be a good time to fix that button. So I can click on it, and then, well, let's see. Boy, maybe it's not going to be as easy as I thought. Let's see. Background or yeah, it's for some reason it's not giving me the super easy way to edit the button here that I had before. Yeah, I'm not seeing, because this button is not, it doesn't seem like it's easy to independently edit that. It's just a giant form that's got this button on it. So that means I'm going to have to go through the whole process of, opening up my web developer tools over here. And of course, this is Firefox. This is where the web developer tools are located. And you can click toggle tools, scroll down a little bit, click on this little button here, and then click on the button itself. And what you'll see is this is the style right here. So this particular CSS right here covers many styles, button focus, menu, toggle, hover, button hover, blah, 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 blah. But right here, this is the background color and the border color, which are obviously that red. So what I need to do is find, this will tell me where the CSS is, and then I can go locate it and change these colors, right? Looks like it says it's inline, which means that it's probably on the form itself, and which means I should be able to edit this inside of what's called WP Forms. So let's see, background color right there. So let's see if we can do that real quick. So I'm going to exit to the dashboard. I don't need this guy up right now. And WP forms, all forms. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see. It says, whoops, you haven't created a form yet. However, there is a form that exists based on the template. So that's pretty fun. That means I have to go through here and figure out where the hell that form is. So, okay, anyway, let's make that, and then we've got some kind of crazy poll going on over here. Skip challenge. Okay. All right, so this is more complicated than I had hoped. You know, and it's a rabbit hole, and unfortunately there's going to be a number of those that you're going to experience in WordPress. But for now, you know, that can hold off for now. It's not my number one priority. I'll come back to, you know, dealing with the red button on the contact page. On the about page, I just put some about text in there from the comic book, and of course we still have placeholder images here. Products, same thing. I just have I've just put the name of the comic right there, and of course we don't have any pictures, so really the home page is the only page where anything is really happening. Okay, so the first thing I'm thinking of is, you know, because I don't want to focus on the comic and this other game right now, and because I don't have a lot of content that I want to quickly put up about them, I can change these learn more buttons to basically say coming soon. And in fact, it would be even better if I got rid of the buttons altogether, because, you know, if you see those, even if it says coming soon, there's going to be the temptation to click on them, thinking that there's going to be more content, and then it's disappointing if nothing happens, right? Now, I'm kind of loath to take these buttons away because, you know, they're in the right place, they're the right color, and, you know, you don't really want to mess with things that are working, but you know, such is life. So I have my choices. I can either get rid of it completely and just write coming soon, or I can write coming soon on here and leave it as an unlinked button. And now that I think about it a little more, thinking about it, I'm tempted to just do that. I think I'll just do that because, um, you know, at least then the button will be there, and all I have to do is put in learn more and the little arrow, and I'll be good to go. Okay, so if we go back here and we go back to pages, and we go down to the home page. Notice there's a couple home pages, but this is the one that says front page Elementor. So that's the one we want to open up. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, and it's going to tell me a couple things. It's going to have an icon here, which is the arrow icon, right? And now these icons exist in a library, which means I'll be able to go back and get this later on, right? So, but for now, if I hit the trash button, it will remove the icon, or at least it will when I update the page. And then for the text, I can just write coming soon. Okay, and then any luck here, let's see. If I hit update, hopefully it'll get rid of that arrow. Well, it didn't take it away here. So let's see what happens if we refresh this here. Oh, yeah, it's gone, right? Okay, and that looks fine. I can live with that. And then we go over here and we do essentially the same thing. Trash the arrow. Change this to coming soon. And then update. And it's a shame it doesn't update here, but we know that it'll update here if you look at it. Okay, and then these. Oh, this is interesting. I guess these are by default linked to this page, which is kind of weird because it just sends you back up to the top of the page. So that's interesting. I wish I could just get rid of the link altogether. Well, so it says the link is, and it has a placeholder in here. That's what this thing is. I wonder if I take that out, and then if I click on this one, let's see, which one was I on? Oh, okay, now I want to get rid of this one. I think I was on the other one before. And then, yeah, this one should have nothing, and this one has nothing. Okay, so let's see what happens if we get rid of that pound sign, which is basically a placeholder, but it also just sent us up to the top of the page, which frankly is kind of annoying. So let's see, hopefully we click on this and nothing happens. Yeah, so basically we got rid of any links, right? Now we want to do the same for this, because that way it frees us from the obligation of having to put any content there right now. So once again, Trashorama, coming soon. Oops. Get rid of this junk. Okay, coming soon. And then update. Okay, and then just refresh it here just to make sure we're good to go. Oh, and I almost forgot, get rid of the link so we don't have that annoyance. Okay, and then refresh that. Okay, perfect. So that doesn't go anywhere. So now this is great because we've got a home page which has, some content on it, so it fleshes it out, makes it look good. It makes it look like, hey, we're a company that's, doing things. We got an app coming up. We got a comic and, a game. Of course, most of it's vaporware right now. It doesn't exist. The comic actually exists. But what that'll allow me to do is focus my attention on this right here. I can make that a button that actually works and takes you to information about the game that I want to promote, which is the Skyros Castle game. So, and if I want, I could try putting that that arrow in here and see how that looks. Although, I'll be honest, I think I like just the word a little better than the arrow itself, so I might just leave the word. And then there's the temptation to put something in here about Skyros Castle, right? So, for example, Skyros has its own logo. And what I could do is replace Wildcard with Skyros, because at this point, and this is not the only time something like this would happen, I'm actually customizing the website for really just one person, for one purpose, which is to have this guy or gal from the company look at it, deem it to be adequate enough to be in their convention, and then get the thumbs up from them, right? I could always, if they wrote me and said, well, we didn't see much on the website, I could be like, well, it's under construction, but that's not my goal. My goal is really to make this really look good. Now, to be honest, it would probably be a better idea even to go back and edit this event and, take the URL out for a second. Just say, like coming soon. And then done. And now, when you go look at the information for this, it says coming soon for the more information URL. Now, what's nice about that is I don't have to go into extreme panic mode and try and get everything done in the next hour, just in case that person went and clicked on it right now. However, the plan is to replace that URL with the wildcard URL right here as soon as I'm done, and to do that fairly quickly so that this can get approved. This convention takes place in a month. It does give me a little time. I could be a little leisurely in my process if I wanted to. I could probably work on the website all the way through the weekend, but one of the good things about events that happen and business and changes that occur in the world and opportunities is it pushes you to do things maybe on a faster time schedule than you would normally. So my goal would really be to try and get this this website, up to par in the next day or two, really, and then quickly change that URL. I mean, if I were completely, focused on being as professional as possible, I would probably just pull my application altogether and resubmit it when I have that URL to go in there. But I don't, I'm lazy. I don't feel like filling out this form again. But and also, I don't think it's that big a deal where somebody's not going to approve this because it's got a coming soon thing there. I think what's more than likely to happen, they might even just approve it without looking at the website. Um, but more than likely, if they look at it and they see that it says coming soon, they'd either see if there's enough information here to approve it, or they'd wait and they'd check back, and when that changes to an actual URL, then they would visit it. So either way, it's not as big a pressure as it would be if this were like a real product release, and say the news media, say you were releasing a press release and the news media was going to come to your website. That's a much bigger deal. But still, I want to be as professional as possible, and I don't want people to come to the site until it's ready, but I do want to use this opportunity as a way to push myself to get this ready, right? So, I do like the idea of changing this. We've got Wildcourt up there, which Wildcourt is the name of the gaming system that all these games are under. So, um, I could put the Skyrose logo here, and that would then when somebody comes to the website, this person from the conference, they'll see that and they'll hit explore. They won't even need to bother with going down here. They might, just take a quick look down there just to see what's that's all about. And it looks good, but of course they can't click on anything, so it's like window dressing, right? This is what I'm trying to get people to do right now, or this specific audience. Just come here, see Skyrose, click on that, and then there'd be a page dedicated to that information, right? Um, okay, so let's go over to Photoshop and get this logo ready. Now, one thing that I can do, I like the size of this logo, so if I right-click on this and do copy image, I can go over into Photoshop, and once again, there's always something weird in my programs when I open them up. So let's see. So we'll go new. Um, we're going to create a new document, and it's going to create something at the size of what I just copied. So if I hit create, it's going to create in the clipboard, and if I do edit paste, it's going to paste in my Wildcourt logo at the size that it is on the website, right? And what's nice about this is I can use this as a template. Just go open up the Skyrose logo, make it white, stick it right in here so that squeeze it down, scale it down until it fits, turn off this Wildcourt layer, and then export that as a PNG and replace the existing Wildcourt logo with the Skyrose logo. And then I can, it'll probably have the same opacity settings on it. I made it, if you remember, I took the opacity of this and took it down a little bit so you can kind of see through it. Those settings will probably stay when I upload the new one, so it'll probably look just like this, except it'll say Skyrose instead of Wildcourt. So let me go ahead and open up the Skyrose logo, and then we'll make that change. Okay, so I'm going to go back here into Photoshop and open up my Skyrose logo, which looks like this. You can see it's on a transparent background, so I can select that whole thing, Command A. I can copy it, I go over to this other file here and just Command V, paste it in. And of course, this bad boy is ginormous. Oops. Compared to that other one. So I got to do a fair amount of scaling down to fit this in here. Okay, so looks like just a little more. Basically, I'm just going to have to get the top and the bottom to fit in there. That looks like about right. And then just kind of move it over a little bit, sort of center it. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, and so then I have my choice here. I can either invert this into white, or something that I've been doing lately, which I like a lot, is this this blending option here of just doing a color overlay, and then you just use white, and it just suddenly becomes white, which is awesome. I can turn off the wild chord, which is back there, so now I just have the sky rose. There's some extra space on the sides there, which I could wipe out if I wanted to. I could crop this down, and that would be a good idea, just to save a little space with your files. You want your files to be as small as possible. So I can click on the cropping thing here and just kind of move these in just a tiny little bit. And then crop that. Okay, so now I've got my Skyrose logo, so I can save that as a ping file. So I'll call it Skyrose logo ping save. Okay. All right, and then we go back here. We go to the back end here. Go up a little bit, and now we want to work with this. There's the image, so we click on this to change the image. We click upload files and select, and Skyrose logo.png. There it is. There it is. Open. Okay, insert media. There it is, and it does look like it's got the same amount of sort of transparency there. We can see, yeah, I forget what the opacity settings were before, but it's at 0.7, which looks pretty similar to what it did before, so I'm fine with that. So let's hit update. Obviously this logo is not as wide as the wild chord one, but that's okay. I think it still looks good. So let's see what it looks like. Let's see what the change looks like. And there it is. So I think that's a good start for this process. And now the next step would be to make a page that has information about this game, and then link this button to it. Now, before I go about creating this page for Skyrose, I want to fix up a couple other areas of the website. And once again, this is kind of like a little band-aid I'm putting on this. I'm just doing some triage here just to get the site up and running, with placeholder images that are mine instead of the ones that came with the website, right? So we can start over here with contact. This will be an easy one to do because, obviously I'm going to have to fix that button at some point, but it would be pretty easy to just fix this picture simply by using the existing picture that I have here on the home page and dropping it in there. Obviously over time we'd want these to be different pictures on every page, but this would be a quick way to just, take that out of commission. So I can click Edit with Elementor, and I can right-click on this section and click Edit Section and go to Style, and then there will be my big picture, right? So I can click here to choose image, and then choose the most recent picture that was used for the background on the home page. The most recent pictures are always the ones that are closest to here. So if there's 3 pictures here, that means I made changes until I got to this one. So that's the one that I want to use. So I'll insert that. I'm not saying that it's going to look perfect or anything, but at least it'll look like it's still part of the same website. So let's go here. We'll exit to the dashboard. I need to have one of my tabs be the front end of the site and one be the back end. And right now they're both back end. So I'm going to turn this one into the front end and go to contact. And, so there it is. Like I said, it's not perfect or anything, but it still looks like you're on the same site. That button is kind of shocking the color, and I'm gonna have to change that. As I said. Okay, so now we're on this page, and we can do the same thing. Of course, if we just click edit with Elementor here, it's going to take us into the back end, and then we're going to have to come back to the front end because this is on the back end already. But the issue is that it makes it so easy to just click here as opposed to going here and like backing up and trying to find the page and go back in again. So, maybe it would make sense to have a couple tabs open with the front of the site so that you could easily always get there. So same thing here. I'm just going to replace this with the same image. Whoa. Okay, a little slow there. And then update. Now here, I've got this picture of the mountain, which obviously, doesn't belong. It's not as good of a picture as I would like. But, I can use my existing imagery, like this one, for example. And it didn't change. Oh, I'm sorry. I screwed up. I was still on that one. So I undid that with Command Z. So let me click here. This picture, that's the one I want to change. And let's see if we can just replace this with that. And that works perfectly, right? So, very quickly, and like I said, I can make another tab here because now we're in the back end in both of those tabs. So we could just always leave that tab on the end there to be this front end of the website. But so, very quickly, I've got that looking like it's part of the website. I've got the about page looking like it's part of the website, and there's always tweaks to do. I need to update this text, obviously. I need to update that little line so that it's the orange color. But very quickly, I got those two pages to look like they're part of the website and got rid of the placeholder content. Now, the other thing is I have this link products here, but I don't want to have that link showing because, I don't have any products to go in there yet. So that's another thing to take off of the menu. And to get there, we just have to go into the back end, exit to the dashboard, and then just go under Appearance and Menus. And of course, when you take things off your menu, they're not gone for good. They're just not showing up. So if I take this products and remove it and then hit Save Menu, the products button that can go on the menu, it still exists over here in this list of pages, right? In fact, if I go View All and scroll down, well, I guess it was called Projects, and it's officially called Projects in the website, but I renamed it Products in the menu bar. But that's the actual page that I just took off. So now once again, we can go back here and hit refresh. And so now we've just got that. Okay. So worst case scenario, if I just go in and change this bar and the button on the contact page, and maybe just update this text a little bit to not only include just the comic, this is about the comic, but also say a couple lines about the game, then 99% of the website will at least look visually consistent and like it all belongs to the same website. And then all I have to do is make that page specific to Skyrose and put information on it about the game, as much information as I have available, and then it will look like a pretty complete, real website, at least for these current purposes. So, but let's go. Let's see. We should have a couple pages here. So let's do a couple of those little edits just to get them out of the way. So if I click Edit with Elementor, and I click on this little guy right here, and then Style, and then I hope I still have that in my paste buffer. Oh, no, I don't. I have this wildcore.com. Okay, bummer. Okay, so that means, once again, I have to go back to that other page, Um, let's see, and get that color. If I memorized the hexadecimal code, I wouldn't have to do this all the time, but just not into memorizing hexadecimal codes. Okay, so we go all pages. We can go back to the home page where we know that that color exists. This is something where you could write this color down on a pad of paper, or you could copy it into a file so that you would always have that information handy. Because obviously this is kind of a pain in the butt to go all the way back, go all the way down into the control center for this page just to see this damn hexadecimal code, right? But it is what it is. So that's the way that I went about doing it. Okay, so here we are, and I've got that, and now I can just replace it and hit update, and that color changes. Okay, I do want to change this text a little bit, so if I can click in here, if it will let me, I can change this to say comic, because all of that text below is specific to the comic, and then I can sort of make that bold. And it's really hard to see, like if you try to click in here, it's not easy to see that you actually clicked anywhere. So, which is why I think they give you this little box right here. So I can click there and move this down a little bit, and I can say like games or something like that. Maybe I'll call this games and comics. All right, and make sure my bold is off there. So I'll just type something in here, like WildCord is a gaming system that is used, that I want to say is used or will be used. I guess say is used for a variety of, we'll call this medieval strategy board games, including, and then I can make a little list here. So this would allow me to use the list function here. Let's see, which one of these is the list? I guess it's this one, numbered list, bulleted list, including, and then I can just put a couple of the games that are mentioned on the site. So on the front page, we have this game called, well, I guess I should say Skyro's First. Skyro's Castle, the official name. I don't know why there's all that space right there. It's weird. Okay. And then the other one is called Dragon Hearth. That's the one that's on the home page, right? So games. WildCord is a gaming system. Get rid of this word that. Um, uh, WildCord is a gaming system. Is a, we'll say a Dungeons and Dragons inspired. I can't see this is. Let's see. WildCord is a Dungeons and Dragons inspired gaming system used for we'll say not variety, but for several medieval strategy games. I keep trying to edit over here, and it's like really hard to do, and you have to keep going over here for a several. So we want to get rid of that a. Now, some of you may not consider yourself writers, but when it comes to web design, it really helps if you can knock out a few lines, especially just, for this purpose, for like a placeholder, just to communicate a little bit of information. So games, WildCord is a Dungeons and Dragons inspired gaming system used for, instead of several, I think I'll just take several out completely. uh, used for medieval strategy. We'll say used for the following medieval strategy board games, and then we can just say Skyrose, Castle, and Dragonhearth. Okay, so Wild Core is a Dungeons and Dragons inspired gaming system used for the following medieval strategy board. Well, let's see. Used for the following medieval strategy board games: Skyrose, Castle, Dragonhearth. Okay, that's perfect. It's just, it's just enough information to basically say nothing, but sort of be in line with what this whole website is about. Now, let's see. This whole thing about we're so thrilled that you're reading this because Wildcore took so long to make. That was something that I wrote that was just on the comic website, and it doesn't seem as appropriate for this website. Here, I think we just want a little description of the comics. So I can say maybe I'll just say comic. Let's see. What's the games? And I'll say comic. Let's see. History of the Wild Chord comic. So maybe I can just take. See how it highlights everything? It's so annoying. Gotta just remember to do everything over here. So yeah, it does say games up there, and then it's weird that you just go into this history of the Wild Chord comic. Let's see. Wild Chord is a Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, let's see. So it's a bit of a challenge to do this. So we could say comics. Yeah, I think it's kind of weird just to have this whole history of the Wild Chord comic, especially when I just have a few lines describing uh, the games up there. So I think it'd be a better idea just to get rid of all of this, um, and make this kind of consistent with that. So I can call this, I can just call that comic or comics, and I can say try to be consistent with what's above. Wild Chord is also a fantasy comic series. Wild Chord is also a comic fantasy comic series. Let's see. Let me go back a little bit. I could say issue number 1 has been released, and issue number 2 will be released soon. Okay, Wild Chord is also a fantasy comic series. Issue number 1. Let's see. We could say when it was released. Let's see. Wild Chord is also a fantasy comic series. Issue number 1 has been released, and issue number 2 will be released soon. I want to say was released in, I'll say 2019. Let's see. It's available. Issue number 1 was released in late 2019, comma. So Welcome is also a fantasy comic series. Issue number 1 was released in late 2019. Issue number 2 will be released soon. Okay. So, it's a small amount of text, but it's way more consistent with what's happening up here than that whole huge thing about the history of the comic was. So, yeah, so this page is pretty much done. Once again, it's just a placeholder page for anybody who comes to visit the site right now. Now I've been avoiding dealing with that contact page because I didn't really want to go down the rabbit hole and figure out where that button was. But now that I'm at the point where I've got all these other pages cleaned up except for that one thing, and then I just have to make a new page. It's pretty much time to face the music and deal with this bad boy, right? So once again, I can go here and click Edit with Elementor to try and find some clues as to where I can go, to deal with this thing, right? So it's interesting because it says enter your short code, and there's short code in here which is using WP forms, and it says it's using the form called 190, right? And then of course when I go to WP forms, there's nothing listed in there. So what I'm thinking is maybe it's actually editable inside the Astra theme as opposed to inside the WP forms. So that would be my next place that I want to explore. So I can keep this page here like this, and then I can go to one of my other pages and exit to the dashboard, and then go into the Astra theme to look around. And unfortunately, some of what you do inside of these templates is be a detective and try to figure stuff out, right? And unfortunately, there's for certain aspects of this, there's a lot of support. Like what I like about this Astra theme is that there's links to their knowledge base right here, and then this is a whole linking section to customizer and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of support out there. You can even just ask a question, on the web. Like, I could just go over here and say, change button color in Astra contact form or something like that, and I might get lucky. This is a change color of the submit button, which is not specific to the Astra form, but this. So this probably wouldn't help me, but it's good in sort of a general sense. So let's see, contact form 7. So I don't see anything specific to Astra right there. Global color and background options in Astra theme. That's interesting though. Docs. Let's see, customer set global. So base color. So this is interesting. So let's look in here a little bit. So the default basic color option is available with the theme. So customizer global base colors. That's very interesting. So let's look around in there. So let's see. Let's go back to exit to, let's see, global settings. Okay, that's not it. So maybe we'll go back to the customizer. Oh, there was a default colors thing up there that I saw. Oh, and now we're gone. Okay. So messed up. Okay, yeah, here's what I saw. Default colors. Color palettes are disabled. You can enable it from Elementor settings page. Oh, okay, so the theme, this is an Elementor thing that got disabled because the Astra theme is using its own colors. However, I can go into this appearance customize here and see if there's some global color settings in here. So once again, there's like 12 different ways to skin a cat, right? And we're looking at different ways we could go in and make this change. So colors, base colors, right? So this is great because this is showing me that, they're using that red color for all the default stuff. Heck, if I had changed it here, it might have changed all of these buttons and these lines that I went in and changed manually, right? So, but let's go ahead and see if we can change this in these locations. So, hopefully I still have that color in here. If not, I really, okay, thank God. I'm glad I have it in there because I didn't want to give you the advice to write it down, and then of course I never did it. But of course, if we change this in all 3 locations, wouldn't that be great if we go and the button is changed? Life would be so sweet, but life doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you do all this, and since I've already manually updated those, it might make no difference. But it might make a difference for any new button that I create and new lines that I create, which would be super helpful. And we might get lucky and it might change that button over on the contact page, but I'm not going to guarantee that because it could just be specific to the form itself. But, maybe the gods are smiling on us. What do you think? 50-50 our chances? I'm going to say a little bit, I'm going to be optimistic about it. I'm going to say 70, 80. I'm going to say, I'm just going to commit to the fact that it probably changed. Let's look, and I could be way wrong. Oh, I am way wrong. What a bummer. Okay, so I guess it didn't happen. All right. So once again, that means we have to go back into. Um, let's see. We have to now try and dig through Astra, but that was useful to find those global colors. We have to go into the Astra options because, as I said, there is something here for WP forms, right? But when we looked in all forms, there was nothing in there. So obviously, Astra has its own form, which is just being powered by WP forms, but it's not listed in there because it wasn't created in there. So we have to go in here and try and find it. And if we can't find it, then we go to the knowledge base. And if that doesn't work, we can even submit a ticket to those guys. But let's see what some of the options are. Link to customizer settings. Well, set colors, that's going to take us back to the page that we were just at. Upload logo, customize fonts, layout options, blog layouts. So that's not super helpful. Let's see, free plugins. We don't need extra plugins. We don't want pro models. We want something that's already here. Okay, so we could visit their knowledge base. Oh, maybe it would be something in widgets. I don't think so, but what the heck? I'll just look. Widgets. Not seeing anything there right away. So, okay, so let's go back to Astra options. And maybe we'll visit their knowledge base and see. This is a good exercise because, you guys are going to run into things that you don't know how they work either. So, we could say change button color on WP form. Well, that was not super helpful, was it? How to add a contact form in WordPress, the easy way. Okay, maybe how to edit contact form. Create contact forms. Oh. Yes, this is not being super helpful. Okay, so then we go to our next line of attack, which is, we go back to the web tools, web developer tools, and see where the code is. See if we can locate where the code is. It said that it was inline code, which means that we have to find the form itself. So see, it says buttons WP form submit 190.wp form submit. So there might be a style sheet for WP forms that where we can change this color. So let me click that, and that will lock us in down here in the code. And then over here is the code itself. And see, it says WP forms base .css 442, that line there, button type submit. And then there's some inline styles which are on the page itself. But if I could find this WP forms base.css, I might be able to change the color and override these right here. Because it's not easy for me to get to this form if I can't find it, if I just don't know how the hell to access it. So let's see. My next thing would be to see if I can figure out where WP forms base is. And if you roll over this, I think it just showed me for a second there. Let's see. Yeah, see right there, this little pop-up. See how it says wildcore.com, WP content plugins, WP forms light, asset CSS, WP form CSS, blah, blah, blah. So that's where that form is. And I can locate that. I can go there through either my WordPress interface or I can go there through FTP and try making a change to that information right there. Let's see if I can get there. Let's see. So it's content plugins, WP Forms Lite. That's interesting. It's got a WP Forms Lite plugin. I wonder if there's a second plugin that I just haven't noticed, a second WP Forms plugin. So I know I'm doing a lot of jumping around and stuff here, but it's just this process of trying to figure things out. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard here. Hello. Give me the dashboard, you stupid thing. Oh, man. All right, here's the dashboard. Okay, so, clearly there's a WP Forms here. And, but that's not, when I go to all forms, I don't see it. However, if I go to installed plugins, I wonder if the WP Forms Lite plugin will have a link on it to get there. Yeah, see, WP Forms Lite, and then if I click settings, maybe it'll just take me to that stuff again. But here's hoping, right? Click. Okay, so so it says WP Forms. So it took me to this section, which is different from what I've seen before. And then it says email recapture, validation, integrations, access, miscellaneous. So it says include form styling, base styling only. Base and form theme styling. Huh, interesting. So it says base styling only. So I wonder if I change it to base and form theme styling, if it will pick up on that color, that global color that I did. Once again, you're being a detective and you're trying different things. You're getting help wherever you can, and trying different experiments to figure out what's going to work. And a lot of your oh, there you go, send message, right? So basically, it didn't turn it orange, but that's okay. I wanted to get rid of the red. I was ready to pull my foot off because it was so annoying, but I finally got rid of it. Okay. So, but that was a good process. We investigated all these different areas and we found a solution. Maybe not the perfect solution. I could spend a lot more time. Like I said, I could go back and chase down this CSS sheet and put in my background color that I want, and eventually get back to that button, but with the correct color. But it's just too much effort right now. I'm not not really as interested in that as I am in just getting this thing up and running. So, after a little bit of effort, we've got our website, looking consistent, both color-wise and with content. We've, disabled buttons that go nowhere. So, this stuff is all dresses up the page a little bit, but it doesn't take people to places they don't want to go. And then, so the last step will be, clicking on this to take us. We have to build a new page with that information and then link it from here. But I'll save that for the next video. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me and exploring all this stuff. I know that it might be a little tedious, time-consuming sometimes, but it's worth it in the sense that you're following along as somebody's creating like an actual website, and you're seeing all the successes and issues that they encounter, and then the different crazy ways they look to solve things. Sometimes you're just kind of hacking a solution in, like what I just did with that form, and sometimes you're taking a more measured approach, and sometimes you're moving slowly, and sometimes you're moving quickly. But overall, it's like a mechanic working on a car. Some cars you've got a week to work on, and some you got to get them out this afternoon, right? And so that's the process that we're using here. Okay, so please continue to work on your websites. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you guys again at the next video that I make for the class. Okay, bye now.